Welcome to this video on the Cricket World Cup. If you are like me, you're passionate about cricket, no matter where in the world it's played, and especially around the World Cup is where the whole world comes together in our excitement and how closely we follow the game. We follow, of course, our favorite teams for the most part, but we really enjoy a great game of cricket. So in this video that I hope to be able to produce on a daily basis, I'll provide very quick updates about the games that happened. I'll provide reviews of, we'll review the point tables. We'll see which teams are leading the point tables, which teams have a chance of making it to the next round. And we'll just provide some overall stats and scenarios. So as you know, the World Cup is being played in Sharjah, Dubai, and Abu Dhabi in October and November of 2021. These are the matches in Group 1. 4 matches, as we produced this video, 4 matches have already been played, the first 4 matches. And if you see the red line over here, the matches above the red line have already been played. And as you can see, we have results for these 4 games. And at this point in time, the point table looks like this. Australia is leading the points table. England is also leading the points table. South Africa and Sri Lanka, they've all have a single victory each, 2 points each. And Bangladesh and West Indies do not have a win as yet. They don't have any points on the board. And Australia has played just 1 game against South Africa and they have won. England has played just 1 game against West Indies and they have won that. South Africa has played 2 games against Australia, which they lost, and against West Indies, which they won. And in this column, we're showing you what the remaining games for these teams. So Australia has played against South Africa, which they have won, and they're yet to play against Sri Lanka, England, Bangladesh, and West Indies. And similarly, if you look at Group 2, we have 6 teams in Group 2, and of the 6 teams, some teams have played a game. So again, looking at the red line as a dividing point, the 3 games above the red lines have already taken place. India versus Pakistan, Afghanistan versus Scotland, and Pakistan versus New Zealand. And we've got the results for these games. And if you look at the points table right now, Pakistan leads the points chart with 4 points, Afghanistan with 2 points, and India, Namibia, New Zealand, and Scotland don't have a point each. Neither of them have a point. And this chart, as we just showed you for Group 1, it also shows you what games these teams have played and the remaining games. So the fun part, the most exciting part of the World Cup is not just that we follow the games and we enjoy the high level of cricket, excitement obviously related to that. We also play with all kinds of scenarios in terms of the team that we're following. What does it take for our team to qualify for the next round? Now, again, if your team is fortunate enough to control their own destiny, as long as they keep winning all the matches that they have to do, then they'll make it to the next round. But in some cases, that's not the case. If you've lost a crucial match or 2, now you're suddenly looking at the combination of how other teams are doing within your group and how you'd be able to get ahead of those. So this is to make it really use this part of excitement, the scenario of management. We have created this spreadsheet, which, by the way, we'll have the link to the spreadsheet down below. Please go ahead and follow the link, and you should be able to download the spreadsheet and play with it. And do come back tomorrow or the next day to get the latest version of the spreadsheet. So very quick overview of this. In this spreadsheet, we have got, it's about T20 Cricket World Cup in 2021. What we currently have is a schedule of all the matches for each group. We've got the review of the points table, of course, and you're able to look at the schedules and the times and dates for all the remaining matches. So this is the fun part, playing out the scenarios. As you can see, and we'll just go ahead and demonstrate this as well, the points table, the game schedule table that we just saw in this other tab of our spreadsheet. Over here, this blue area is where we can go ahead and do our scenarios. So this area is a drop-down list that contains the list of all teams within the group. And let's go ahead and use this to pick a winner for this game. Let's say that we are speculating about for the game between Scotland and Namibia. Let's go ahead and pick Scotland as a winner of the game. So we'll use the drop down. We'll put Scotland as a winner for this game. Now, as soon as we do this, the point table will change. And Scotland, with the 2 points, now becomes number 3 in the group. So in our scenario, they have played 2 games now, first against Afghanistan that they lost, and then against Namibia, which they won. And the remaining games are against New Zealand, India, and Pakistan in that order. So this is how we can go ahead and play with our own scenarios. And with each decision that we make for all the remaining games, the point table will continue to evolve, and hopefully the team that we prefer will start coming to the top, and we'll be able to come up with scenarios. We'll be able to say that if Afghanistan loses to this team and India loses to this team, then this is what the scenario could look like. So let's go ahead and wipe out the change that we just made, because this game has not taken place as yet. Okay, so let's go ahead and start using it. Let's do our analysis for how the teams are looking right now at this point in time. So let's go ahead and look at the points table. We'll start off with Group 2, because it had a slightly easier scenario right now. Group 1 is much more complicated, much more strong and closely matched teams, and a lot more scenarios. We are absolutely not in a position right now to make any predictions in terms of where it could go, but we can maybe talk about some possibilities. As you can see right now, Pakistan leads this group. It's the only team that has played 2 matches, and they've won both of them. The most important part of this is that Pakistan has won the game against India and against New Zealand. The remaining games are against Afghanistan, Namibia, and Scotland. So if Pakistan was to win 2 of the remaining 3 matches, then with 4 victories or 8 points, they're virtually guaranteed a spot in the semifinal. Remember, the top 2 teams from each group will make it to the next round, the semifinal round. Afghanistan has played 1 game against Scotland, which they have won, but they still have an uphill task. They have mountains ahead of them in terms of the games against Pakistan, Namibia, which may well be an easier game. But India and New Zealand, these are the areas that they really have to conquer before they could come closer to being able to qualify for the next round. India, they have a defeat, but they still have a long journey ahead of them. New Zealand, and they may be just slightly ahead in terms of being favorites in the game against New Zealand, and of course Afghanistan, Scotland, and Namibia. And Namibia hasn't played a game as yet, so they don't have any points. And New Zealand has played 1 game against Pakistan that they have lost. Scotland has played 1 game against Afghanistan and they have lost. So clearly it's very early in the game to make any projections. But I think the only projection, if one is to be forced to make one, is that Pakistan will most likely qualify for the semifinal, given that they have won the 2 games against the 2 strongest teams in this group. But then again, cricket is a game of surprises, as we all know. Anything could happen. Any team could just show up and have an incredible day. As we saw the other day, the game between Afghanistan and Scotland. Afghanistan batted first, scored 190 runs, and Scotland had a decent start, good start in fact. In the 4th over, they were cruising at 28 runs, and then began an absolute avalanche, an absolute collapse. They lost all 10 wickets for 32 runs, and they were 60 all out. Nobody could have predicted for the game to go that way, but again, Afghanistan showed their huge strength in terms of in the sprint department, in the batting side as well. And again, they're definitely a team to watch. Again, a lot of excitement is ahead of us. These are all the games which are still to be played. As you can see, we are in no position to be able to make any predictions in terms of which team would prevail on that particular day. Let's just keep our fingers crossed and let's see how it shapes up. Let's take a look at Group 1 now. So if you look at the points table, the only thing that jumps out at us is the fact that West Indies has played 2 matches and they have lost both. And the 2 matches that they've played have been against, their loss have been against England and against South Africa. So if you look at the 6 teams in this group, again, even though keep making statements that nothing it could be guessed, we should not be able to be predicting anything. It's a game of surprise. But if you just go by conventional wisdom, if you just go by generally by the rankings of the teams, then of these 6 teams, Australia, England, South Africa, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and West Indies, based on the current form, one could make an argument that perhaps the top 4 teams in this order, Australia, England, South Africa, and Sri Lanka, would be the strongest contender for the 2 spots. West Indies has lost games to 2 of those contenders, which means they have, the best case scenario for them would be if they win the remaining 3 matches. But even if they do, they would not be in a position where they control their own destiny. They have to rely upon other combinations for other teams to go down and lose some matches before they could sort of go up in this in the points table. Similarly, Sri Lanka has only played 1 game, so it's too early for us to make any prediction on how the World Cup would go on for them. And then we just have to see. Tomorrow is a crucial game. England versus Bangladesh and Australia versus Sri Lanka, both the games for this round. So tomorrow, after these 2 games are over, we'll be in a better position to be able to make some forecasts. Let's play with it. Let's play with the scenarios. Let's go ahead and say that in the game between England and Bangladesh, let's award that game to England, and Australia versus Sri Lanka. Let's say that Australia wins that game. If this what happens tomorrow, then what's the point table looks like? Australia, they will really consolidate their position with 2 victories against South Africa and against Sri Lanka, and yet to play against Bangladesh, West Indies, relatively easier teams to play against. So which means they would be in a very strong position to qualify for the next round. Similarly, England with 2 matches and 2 victories against West Indies and Bangladesh, they will be in a strong position as well, but they will still have to play against Australia, Sri Lanka, and South Africa. Again, so it's too early in the game for us to be able to make any real forecast. But all we can say, as we said earlier, is that it'd be an uphill battle for West Indies to qualify for the next round. But as anyone who's been around long enough, anybody who's followed the previous World Cup, we know that surprises galore, they happen all the time. So hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to it so each time we post a new video, hopefully we'll be doing it on a daily basis. You get notification. Please come back and check us every day, and we'll be attaching a new spreadsheet that will provide the link down below as well. Please go ahead and come back and use that. If you like it, please add your comments. If you have any questions for us, please go ahead, put your comments. We would love to read your comments and respond to them as well. And please spread the word, spread this resource around. Every time this World Cup happens, I'm speaking personally for myself, but I know that almost everyone I know, we are very passionate about following the game, about the sport, and especially with these water scenarios about the possibilities of what would happen, what would it need for my team to be able to go up on the points table. That's the most fun part of this game, of following the World Cup. Another and the last point that I would like to mention is that in the next few versions of this spreadsheet, we'll be providing the net run rate calculator as well. It's too early right now in the process, but we'll bring it on in the next few weeks, in the next few days. We'll provide some other statistics also, maybe some links to the scorecards, to some other websites as well that we'd like to partner with. And please come back and download the new version of the spreadsheet every day. All right, thank you so much again for your time, and we'd love to see you again. Thank you.